So Django framework in Python. Now, what exactly is Django and what is the role of Django? See, Django is precisely a web framework which is given in Python. So if I'm planning to develop any web-based application, I will be using Django. See, other languages have also provided us different frameworks for working with web. Java provides us with something like J2EE, Enterprise Edition and stuff. Same way, Python provides me with this particular framework called Django. It provides me with all the tools that are needed for implementing anything on the web or for developing any kind of a website. You know, one common joke that goes on in the industry is that if a client comes to you in the morning and the client wants the website to be ready or deployed by evening, Django is the platform which you should be using. Precisely the way Django has been designed is, they have given us so many components for development that all you have to do is just assemble everything together and the website will be ready. So literally, if you want the website or any web application to be developed in the least amount of time possible, it is going to be using Django. All those who've been working with Java and stuff, the amount of code that Django will be required to write would be maybe 1/10 or 1/15 of what I would be required to create a similar application in Java. So that is where Django is special. Django is something which is used globally for web development nowadays. Now, please understand this. Django is open source, so you can say that everything that we get in Django is free. You can use it wherever you want, whenever you want, and so on. Precisely, the idea of Django is that it works on the architecture which is MVT, which is Model View Template, whereas in other languages we had MVC, Model View Controller. So there is a little change over here in Django architecture. So model and view are still there, and now we'll have templates. So going further, when we are trying to learn Django, you need to understand how to create a model, how to use it, how to create a view, how to use it, how to create a template, and how to use it. So any Django application is all about the interaction that happens between these three components: model, view, and template. Now, to elaborate on this particular model, just understand this. Suppose I'm going to create a web application. I am going to create a website. My website, I'll create precisely using this. So this is what my website looks like. See, when I use the word model in Django, precisely I'm talking about database. So whenever we are creating any applications, we are required to handle some data. We are required to create some tables. We need some databases. So you have a built-in SQL-like database actually available in Django, where I'll create models. So we will be designing models. Precisely what this means is we will be creating databases. So any data that has to be stored in this particular this architecture, it will obviously be stored in a model, which is a database. Then you have something called as templates. See, when I say I'm designing templates, precisely I'm designing my screens. So if you want, okay, this is my website. This is what my homepage will look like. This is what my page 1 will look like. This is what my page 2 will look like, and so on. So whenever you are designing these pages, you will actually be designing something called as templates. Now, templates will precisely contain HTML codes. You can have CSS as well over here. So precisely templates will give you the interface that would be visible to the end user who is visiting your website. So that is what is templates. Then I'll design what is called as views. So in Django, whenever I use the word views, or I tell you I'm designing a view, precisely I will be designing what are called as functions. So you will see me writing functions inside views. Okay, so we've created some data inside the database. We have created some screens in the form of templates. But then there has to be someone who will implement the logic and then map them. What data has to be visible in which particular template, what template has to be visible when, and so on. So that is what is the view. So each view will define what is visible to the user on what particular path. So precisely, we will be writing all functions and everything majorly inside views. There would be codes written inside templates as well, but majorly it would be this function which will decide what would be visible in what particular template. So you can say getting all the components together and making them appear as one single unit or one single entity is what is the work of a view. We will be writing multiple views, we will be having multiple templates, we will be having multiple databases. But understand, suppose I've decided a web page where I say, okay, if somebody wants to visit the home page, then this is what is visible, this particular template. If somebody goes to say page 1, this is what is visible. Somebody goes to page 2, this is what is visible. But then for this end user to be able to reach this, you will have to design some path. You might have seen whenever we are visiting any particular website, it is always HTTP or HTTPS followed by some number followed by something slash something slash something. Now that is nothing but a path. So once I have designed this, I have to then decide what would be the path for someone to reach each of these pages. So what I'll do is for home page, I'll design a URL. So the user, if they take this particular path, they will reach the home page. Maybe I'll design another URL which for page 1. So if a user takes this particular path, they'll reach this page 1. So precisely, we will be defining URLs which will be actually nothing but the paths which will take you to the different views, which will then define what is visible to which particular user or what is visible in that particular view. See, the word view is used because it precisely defines what is visible to which particular user on that particular path. So that is what Django is all about. So now when we get started with application design using Django, the first thing that I need to do is understand how to design a view, how to design a URL, how to design a template, how to design a model. The sequence that I'm going to follow over here is we'll first design a simple view and we'll create a URL for that so that you understand how to reach a view. Then in the next step, we'll create a template and we'll see how to get that template from the view. And then in the last, we will see how to design a model, get the data from the model into the template and then display it using some URL. So this is what is going to be the flow of the application that we will be designing. We need to go very slow. We need to go step by step to be able to understand how this linking is done. The moment you understand linking, writing codes is not going to be difficult at all. Now that we've understood the Django architecture, we will now try and understand how exactly are we going to go about developing this particular application. See, please understand this. Over here, when I talk of web pages, these web pages would be executed by what is called as a browser on your system. A browser could be a Google Chrome. I'll be using Google Chrome when I demonstrate my applications, or it could be using Opera, or it could be using Internet Explorer, or it could be any browser. Now understand, browser and all, these are all available with operating system. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit my entire application using this IDE called PyCharm. Now if I create something inside PyCharm, then this browser will not have access to it. It's not that we cannot do that, we can, but then it becomes a little tedious. So I don't want to create over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go via the OS command prompt, and then I'm going to create my project from the OS so that it is directly registered with the OS. Inside this project, I'm going to create my application. So by creating from the OS prompt, what happens is that over here, this particular application by default is already registered with operating system. So the issues generally don't arise while working with them or while trying to access them. Or maybe whenever I want to reach out to the browser and all, there won't be a problem. Then what I'll do is I will use PyCharm to open this application. So even though I'll be working with PyCharm, understand the application is already registered with the operating system. I'm just editing from PyCharm, but because it is already there inside the operating system, my browser and all can easily be accessible and my application runs fine. So now when I start with this particular project, I'm going to first create an application from the OS DOS prompt. That is what I'm going to do. That is going to be step 1. Then I'll come to PyCharm, and from PyCharm, I will then just open this particular project and I will start making whatever the changes. So editing obviously is very difficult from the DOS prompt, not possible. We will be doing it via PyCharm, right? So this is what is going to be our strategy going further into the development. So now that we've designed our strategy, let us start with an application. Let me just get started over here. Let's just keep this. Now, this is my PyCharm interface. Currently, I'm not interested. I'll just go to Windows, command prompt. Please come to this command prompt. This way. Now, you can go to the root directory, cd ... I'll type change directory. It will go to the base directory. So you can create a folder over here. So you will come to this point and you will start writing commands over here. On my system, I'm going to E drive, right? Because I don't have enough memory on C. That is the only reason why I'm going to E. You can continue with C. It doesn't make a difference. You'll just come to the base root directory, whatever it is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder, and inside that particular folder, I'm then later on going to create my application. So I'm going to write some commands. mkdir. This is make directory. These are all DOS commands that I'm writing. So the command that I'm writing is make directory Python Django projects. I'm creating a folder with this name. You can create with whatever name you want. I've gone with Python Django projects. It'll create that folder. Then I'll enter that folder. I'll write cd. The command is change directory Python Django projects. Enter. So I've entered that particular project. Now what we do is, the first thing that we'll be doing is, we will have to pip install Django. Enter. See, what this will do is, in my case, because Django is already installed, it says requirement already satisfied. In your case, it will locate that particular folder and then it will install Django. So please install Django before we get started with the Django projects. Now there is too much on this particular screen. I'm just clearing it. Command is CLS, clear screen. Okay. Now inside this, now I'm going to start a project, Django project, right? So I'll write Django admin start project, whatever the name of the project you want. Suppose I'm going with the name first project. So my project name is first project. So this will create the project for me. Then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to enter this file, cd first project. cd is change directory. So I'll enter this project folder that I've created. Please come to this step. Now that you've created this project, inside this particular project, I'm now going to start with my application. So I'll write Python manage.py start app, and then whatever the name of the application that you want, I'm going with the name demo. So inside this particular project called first project, I'm going to start this application called demo. Enter. Now if I write dir, right, this will just show me the contents of first project. I will find, see this, there is this folder demo created. So I have created my project, and inside that I have created my app. So this is where we complete the setting up of the project. The design part will start now. Okay, so we are now done setting up this particular project. So I'm done with the command prompt. I'll go exit, enter. My command prompt is now gone. I don't need it. Now what I need to do is, for designing this particular application, I'm going to open the folder that we just created from PyCharm, and then I'll start working. Now, I went to that E drive. In E drive, I created a folder called Python Django projects, and inside that I created this. So now I'll go File, Open. No, I'm not in E drive. I have to go to E drive, sorry. So I'll just close this C drive. In E drive, I have Python. There is Python Django projects. Inside Python Django projects, I have this folder called first project. Open this. Okay, new window. Here it is. When I open this file, I created this. Inside that, there are two folders. One is called demo, which is the name of the app, and the other is called first project, which is actually your entire project folder. Anything which is specific to your app would be in demo, and everything which is general or generic to the entire project would be in first project. Please remember, going further, you can have any number of apps inside a single project. Please open this file first, and then we start the designing part. Okay, now that we have opened this particular folder, we will check whether all is good, all is working fine. What I'll do is I'll click on the terminal. See, bottom left corner, I find this terminal. I'll click over here. Now this is where PyCharm is really good. It provides me the interface now. Now I don't need to go to DOS prompt and run my command. I can do this over here. See, it by default opens in the project that you have selected. I'm just checking if all is working fine over here. My command is python manage.py run server. Now this is a command which will be writing frequently. This is where I'm actually checking whether my server has been started properly. I click on this. It will start my Python engine. It will run my server. It gives me this particular path. Now when I click on this, it takes me to a page where I get this. If you see this screen, that means that your project has been set up properly. All is good. I can go ahead and start the designing part. Okay, now that we've seen this particular screen, what we know is that installation and everything is all fine. Our server has started successfully. Now what I do is, now I'll start designing the views. The first thing that we are going to learn is a view. A view precisely contains all the functions which will perform whatever is the required task. Now what I want to do is, I'll get started with a very simple view wherein I'll define a function which will execute and give a simple message on screen. So what I'll do is, inside this demo, there is this particular file called views, right? Now I'll click on this. Currently, the views are empty. Obviously, we haven't created any views. So now I'm creating this code over here. Now please observe what's happening out here. What I do is, I'll write this particular method. Now, as soon as I write this, now this is a function called hello. That is what I've written. It contains a text, say my first Django project. And then there is HTTP response where I'm sending this particular text. Now, over here, I have this import error. I'll try and sort this out. Please observe this. So over here, this HTTP response. Now this one. So I have to import, it automatically imports for that matter, django.http HTTP response. Now understand, from the user, whatever is the command that is sent to the server is called as a request, and the response that is generated from the server is what is called as a response. So request is going towards the server, and response obviously is coming from the server, right? So just add this particular function and then we proceed. Now that we've created this view, for this view to be accessible or for us to be able to reach this particular view, we will have to create a path which is called as URL. Now what I'm going to do is inside this folder demo, I'm going to create a new folder. So demo is the name of the app. Right click, new, directory, which is urls.py, right? Enter. Sorry, it has to be a Python file because it is an extension with py. I'm sorry. This will be new Python file, which is urls.py. Yes. Create. Yes, it will create urls.py. Please create this. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a path. So this file called urls.py, this will store the path for each and every page that you create. Now over here, what I'm going to do is I'll first import the file from demo, which is the name of the app, import views, because I'm planning to use this as demo underscore views. You could have used any name. I'm going to use demo underscore views because it then makes it very obvious for me what are the views that I'm talking about. Now over here, I'm going to create a path which will take me to the view that I have just created. See, look at this. This view that we just created, it has this name hello. So I want to reach this particular view. So how will I do this? I will create a path over here. So over here, what have I done is I've used this path. Now I'm going to use page one. It's up to you, whatever is the path that you want to create. Demo views. Now this is these views which I just imported. Demo views.hello. Hello is the name of the function that we had just written. So what I'm saying is if somebody comes to my website using this path called page one, then it should invoke this particular function called hello, and then whatever is the code written inside that view hello, that is what is going to get displayed. Currently we'll just display one line. That's it. My first Django project. That's it. Now again there's an import error. So now again I'll sort this out. I need to import unresolved, import this name. See, it says Django urls.path. So I have imported this. So precisely what I have done so far is I have created a path and I have registered that particular path with the app. But understand, this entire path also needs to be registered with the project. What you have done is registered with the path, but it is not registered to the project, right? Now, what we'll do is I'll just go to this urls.py over here, and from over here also I'm required to register it. But before that, I'm supposed to do something else. Currently, just add this over here, get this path, and then we go ahead. Now that this is done, I'm required to register this path with the project as well. But before that, I'll do one more thing. Now I'll go to this project. The app demo that I have created has to be registered with this project. So I'm going to settings.py. Inside settings.py in your project, see, there is a list of installed apps. So what I need to do is I will just register my app demo also over here. That is what I've done. This is required to be done only once. Don't be under the impression that every time you create a URL, you are required to do this. This is something which you are required to do only once. Once this is done, what I'm doing is I'm also registering the path that I created. So what I registered with urls.py in the app, the same path I'm just pasting here in urls.py in your first project. So that is what I'll get over here. So again, it is giving me this demo views error. So what I'm going to do is same thing, from demo import views as demo underscore views. So I've done two things over here. One, I've registered the app in settings.py. This is a one-time step. Now I'll never do this again in my entire project. And urls.py, I've just added this path. Now any other path that I create, I'll register at two places, urls.py in the app and urls.py in the project. So this is what needs to be done. Kindly do this. Okay, now that all is set, Let us now try and check whether this page is working fine. What do? I again go back to the terminal, this one. Now what I need to be doing here is Control C, it breaks this, CLS, just clearing this. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll run the server again. Python manage.py run server. Okay, it has run the server. I click on this. I see nothing, but understand my path is not. This is the local route. Now over here, I've written page 1. So this is the path that I've designed. Enter my first Django project. Now this is where that particular file would be visible. What did I do? I just ran this this Python manage.py run server. It took me to this path. On that particular path in this browser, I just added page 1 and it is working fine. So this is how you will design the views. The first part, MVT. So this is how you will design the views. Currently, we've gone with a very simple view. Going further, we'll be designing little more complex views. We'll be getting in templates and models as well.